Good evening, everybody. I'm Pradeep Satwamaya, and here at Shvasa, I take care of the yoga format and quality and teacher training. I come with a 20-year experience in yoga, various kinds, teaching regular yoga, teaching teachers, and another important study of mine has been the application of yoga, how we could apply yoga to various needs that we have in front of us, physical, physiological, psychological. And just quickly, that yoga was originally meant for a very higher purpose, a permanent solution to solve the problem of pain and suffering forever. But the practice that it recommends are so universal and could easily be adapted to some of our short-term goals as well. And so the application of yoga, for other than its original intent, has been very normal for, say, in the last 100 years, and especially for health. Yoga application with regard to physical and mental health has been something that we in fact we accept very comfortably, and we've been using it very effectively. So today I'll be talking about one such application of yoga, especially one that's physical and seems physical, but also has other implications or other factors involved. Weight management. And of all the practices in yoga, I'm going to focus on breath. In yoga, breath has been recognized as a very important aspect of an individual's life, the factor that affects different aspects of individuals' health, and hence that recognition has given it a space in, say, the 8 limbs of yoga. And if you know about the Ashtanga yoga, there are 8 limbs, and out of that, there is one limb dedicated to breath. We don't find that often in the modern day, say, exercise practice, or for that matter, medical acknowledgement of what breath can do to our overall health, not just physical, but mental health. So, yoga recognizes the importance of breath, and hence we have a systematic breath practice in yoga. And so I'm going to look at breath and weight loss as our topic for today. All right, let's get started. Once again, I welcome all of you to this webinar, especially on a Sunday evening where you could be doing a lot of other things. I'm glad you guys are here. And this webinar is going to be on breath and how we could utilize breath to manage weight, especially weight loss. You're most welcome to ask any questions. I'll take you through a very short presentation, and ideally, I'll finish the presentation so it gives you a full idea of what we're talking, and then we could have question and answers. I'll make a note of any questions you might have. I'll be very glad to answer. So welcome Vinita, Vihangi, Sumit, who else has joined? Shweta has joined us. Welcome to all of you. Let me quickly present the screen. Have a look at the screen I'm sharing. It'll be very useful for us to understand what you're doing. So just to recap, this is a webinar on breath and weight management, and see how breath could be a part of managing our weight, especially weight loss. And we will be looking at breath and various things we can do with the breath to target weight management. I welcome you all to this webinar, and we'll get started with the topic, breath and weight management. Now, some of the reasons that we might already understand and assign for weight gain is listed here. You could have a look, and some of you already might understand this. Genetics is a common one. We will not get into genetics or altering genes in this webinar or through the practice, but that's a common reason for weight gain for many. The other ones that we induce as lifestyle habits are eating habits, physical inactivity, and of course, the kind of life we lead, leading to stress that we cannot cope. And of course, that leading to lack of sleep and insomnia. These are major reasons for weight gain. And there could be other medical conditions and side effects of medication itself, or uh, the medical condition itself might open up possibilities of weight gain. And so I think some of these we already understand. I think we will see that many of our discussions of weight gain will revolve around these causes. Now, what's interesting is that apart from genetics, you see the other 4 reasons that I put out here on the screen has another common element, has a breadth that actually is part of the other 4. Now, if you say eating habits, we'll see how breath could be related to our eating habits. You could say, okay, why? I mean, the mind, I want to eat, I feel like eating, and maybe we understand to an extent emotions being a part of this habit of maybe overeating and wrong eating habits. But breath being something that can influence eating habits, that's something we can look at very soon in the next slide. Physical inactivity also is related to breath, both in the way that influences inactivity, and also a certain breathing pattern is developed as you do physical activity. And so I think both ways it's interesting for us to notice that breath is, again, part of this physical inactivity or this reason. Stress, we all understand when you say, okay, I'm stressed. I think one of the most common recommended practice is go and do yoga. And within yoga, the most common practice is breath practice or meditation, these two. Of course, meditation involves breathing. So stress is something that also influences weight gain. And so how breath can help manage stress, cope with stress, or deal with the ill effects of stress, that can be done really well with yoga in general and breathing practices in particular. And insomnia, sleeplessness, also is a reason for weight gain, not able to sleep. Of course, that could stem from either stress or other reasons. But like I said earlier, breath could be used, yoga practices can be used, like yoga nidra could be used to bring in some kind of rest in the body, rest for the physiology, and through the trigger of parasympathetic nerve activity, yoga could also help better sleeping, and hence probably target this weight gain problem. Other medical conditions, coping up with medical conditions, or helping heal, recover better and completely, is very much within the ambit of what we do with the yoga therapy or yoga practices. So certain medical conditions, the breath practice, one is it can prevent these medical conditions, meaning yoga is largely used as a preventive measure, and that way it will prevent these medical conditions, and hence weight gain could be prevented itself. On the other hand, even recovery phase, after you fall sick for some reason, you're working on recovery, apart from other interventions, medical, surgical, recovery could be better and complete with yoga practices. And so in that way as well, breath will feature in many of these the solutions that we have for these top reasons. I hope that's clear so far. You're all able to hear me clearly and see the slides. Just give me a quick thumbs up, and so I know that you're all able to hear and you're here in the webinar. Okay, we just talked about how breath can influence our eating habits. So here's a quick slide on what breath can do. First, understand that there are hormones released both to indicate or trigger hunger, appetite, and also there are hormones released that say, okay, I'm full now, I'm satisfied, that's enough. So where do we get these feelings of when I should eat and how much I should eat, when I should stop? Now, this is through hormones. Some of the hormones, various organs release hormones. Here, stomach itself releases a hormone called ghrelin. This one is also labeled or called hunger hormone. Now, it simply means that this is the hormone that tells us I'm hungry, I have to eat now, the hunger hormone. Whereas some of the adipose cells or the fat cells secrete what is called as leptin. That tells you that it's enough, but not, this you have to look at not as an immediate trigger, but over a period of time, it tells you how much to eat. How much over a period of weeks and days and months, it's giving you an idea as, okay, this is how much you feel full with. This is where you stop. That's leptin. And so ghrelin is produced by the stomach. It helps you, increase your food intake because hunger, appetite, and it also triggers certain growth hormones, which means this hormone tells the brain to release certain growth hormones or connect to other organs that release such hormones. It promotes fat storage. Ghrelin promotes fat storage because, of course, it increases food intake, and also it has to also help in that excess fat to be stored well. And sorry about that last one. So these are what the hormone ghrelin does. Now, how is this related to breath, you may ask? And we'll see that, one of the contributors to that increases ghrelin is what is called as increase in carbon dioxide or retention of carbon dioxide in the body cells during respiration, or incomplete respiration that retains the carbon dioxide. And high levels of carbon dioxide in our body increases the secretion of ghrelin hormone. And you see the whole cycle, you're not able to completely eliminate carbon dioxide, or you retain quite a bit of it. And how do you do that? Usually because of what is called as hypoventilation, that we don't breathe completely, or we don't inhale, and for that matter, even exhale completely. That exhalation not being complete, a certain level of carbon dioxide is retained. At a very high level, we could understand this. Of course, it's quite complex. And I think for the sake of our webinar, this is a pretty good understanding that we could start with. So hypoventilation, not able to exhale out completely, or it's a habit that we created, not so much that you're consciously retaining carbon dioxide, but out of habit. And you'll see that when we're not conscious of breath and various other factors, the physical posture, inactivity, various factors, and the state of mind also influences breath. So all of this contributes to what is probably shallow breathing, incomplete breathing, breathing through the mouth, hypoventilation. Now this, like I said earlier, carbon dioxide retention increases, and hence ghrelin, the hormone levels itself grows, and then that tells the body to eat. Hunger increases. Eating is influenced by this hormone. And of course, if you're not, not able to burn it off or use all those calories in your day, doing various activities, it will result in weight gain. I think we've established that little cycle. We understand, okay, breathing could be a factor and is an important factor in influencing a lot of others, we talked about stress, and we talked about insomnia. But this probably the hormonal level of how breath could influence appetite and then hence increase weight gain is something that needs attention. I think that's why we put this slide out here. Now, having established some of the factors that, breath is an important factor, and we should probably look at breath as well. Because most common approach that we take during, say, weight management, weight gain, or for that matter, weight loss, both, is physical activity. Food, of course, watch out your food, diet, and then do physical activity. I think these are two popular approaches, I would say. You might ignore a few others, but I think it's interesting to see that breath that we engage in every single moment of the day, of our life, could be a way out of our weight issues. It can optimize weight, and it can, it's not really telling you what weight, it's not simply blindly talking about a certain weight loss, but it's going to tell you what is the best for the body in terms of physiological needs, what weight is ideal for you, also because of various other factors. So here's the breath practices, benefits of the breath practices that we just talked about. We just said that, okay, breath could be influenced, could be influencing weight gain. Now we'll look at what exactly are the benefits of breath. One, let's start with the physical benefits. Firstly, we just talked about ghrelin, and so let's just start with that and say complete exchange of gases, meaning completing or certain practices with breath, certain exercises with breath can improve our breathing and help promote complete inhalation and, importantly, exhalation. So resulting in proper exchange of gases. And of course, this will result in regulating the hunger hormone. We just established that. And at the mind level, you will see that breath practices, connecting to breath and doing some breath exercises, a certain approach to the breath exercises, lower stress levels. In fact, managing stress levels, manageable range. And so you could, there are stress in our everyday life. There's only so much we could do. But I think important way out of stress is also how well we could manage stress. And so this breath exercises lowers it down and helps it keep under manageable levels. And so that's the psychological side of how breath practices benefit us. Better sleep, I already talked about that, especially by inducing parasympathetic trigger, which that's a kind of a nerve impulse that various of our organs receive, especially most of them would work towards resting and recuperating. It would work towards repair, maintenance, if this parasympathetic trigger reaches that organ. And that way, this rest, recuperation, repair work would prepare it to take on the stress as and when we go back to our environments and experience that stress all over again. So this rest period in between stress is how we can be prepared and adapt and cope with stress. And so better sleep through parasympathetic trigger, and the breath practice can help inducing parasympathetic trigger. Another way we could look at breath is, breath is a subtle thing, right? We all know that the moment we start observing the breath, our senses also are kind of sharp, and it's a subtle experience that we have. First is just a physical breath. You can feel the air go in and out, but as you watch closely, as you connect to this breath, you'll see subtle layers of it and how these breath patterns, a certain pattern of breathing influences the state of mind. And I'm sure if you've attended some classes, you will know that certain of the breath practices influences the mood, the state of mind at the end of the class, and for the next couple of hours or the whole day maybe. And so breath makes you more sensitive, connects you to your own body. And one of the beauties of our body is that it is throwing out signals all the time to take the right action. It's not like we have to get knowledge from outside and then use it on our body. But if you could only connect to your body, connect to the urges of the body, you will be able to understand what the body needs, body as in physical and physiological, and you'll be able to manage your own health. So chances are most of us are busy, we are kind of engaged in the outside world, and so we've lost touch with our body. Hence, we kind of are not aware of the signals the body is giving out, and we don't attend to those signals, the urges of the body. We don't know when we are hungry, we don't know when we need to go to sleep, but we've found ways to ignore and in many cases suppress the signals the body is giving out, right? Just having a cup of coffee, if I'm sleepy, I want to make sure I finish this work, I'll have a cup of coffee. That suppresses that whole urge that the body naturally is giving out, and ideally I should be attending to it, listening to it, and then go to sleep. But if I don't, by means that is accessible to me, I can overcome that urge. And if I do this for many weeks, months, and years, I'm not connected to my body. And so then I have to depend on something external, someone to tell me what I should be doing, and I need to go through tests, diagnosis, and doctors. All these becomes almost inevitable because I'm not connected. I don't know what is happening. I don't have a way to reverse this and get back to good health. And so breathing practice is probably one of the important principles in yoga, hatha yoga definitely, but yoga in general, that actually changes or affects us at so many levels: physical body, physiological body, the mind. You'll also see that the next point, the better management of emotions, breath, this the same being sensitive to what is happening during an emotional outburst. We are mostly not aware of what is happening, and it's all triggered so quickly, and so many things happening. We don't know what is happening, and obviously we will not ever have control over it. So breath could be a way to even manage our emotions or be aware of what is happening. And of course, breath is also a way in yoga to influence the mind. In fact, hatha yoga very clearly points out that uh, when the breath moves, the mind moves. When the breath is regulated, the mind is regulated. And so it's a very strong principle, not just in hatha yoga, in the classical yoga as well. Breath is acknowledged as a way to control your mind. I think it's a smart thing because confronting the mind through logic, reason, counseling might work for some, but for majority of us, that's a challenge. And hence, there is this alternative way of accessing the faculties of the mind and influencing the faculties of the mind, and that is breath. And that's what is recognized in yoga, and hence it's a very strong component of yoga practice. So sensitive, your breath practice can connect you to the body and will help you make the right choice in your everyday. Because see, sticking to weight management apart from just general health, weight management cannot happen just because you do something in 1 hour in a day. That's not going to help. Weight management, and for that matter, health, is something that we need to handle with things that we do throughout the day. And so your lifestyle choices, what you do throughout the day and night, sleep and other things, and how all of this is synchronized with the elements. For us, we have the sunrise and the sunset and a very strong influence over our rhythms, biological rhythms, and hence health. And having a lifestyle revolving around this. And so what we do every single moment of the day will contribute to what is happening to our health in general. And same for weight loss or weight management. It's not that you do something in 1 hour of the day and the rest of the day you're not even bothered or not concerned or not doing anything or doing contrary things. Not going to help. So it's about conscious choices that we make, and over a period of time it should become a habit, because obviously we cannot keep making conscious choices throughout the day and for the rest of our life. That's probably not sensible, or it's not doable, it's not sustainable, because conscious choices require a lot of energy, mental energy, and so it could be draining after a while. So the point here is to make it a habit as soon as possible. So you need to first become sensitive as to what you're doing, and if this could be done in a different way, in a better way, and then continuing to do that over and over again so it becomes a habit. And so hopefully I've shared what the benefits of breath is, especially with regard to our topic here, weight loss. So you have some idea of how the bringing in breath to the forefront and doing some practice with the breath. Of course, yoga has practices, so we can just go there, can help address these weight management, apart from all the other traditional approaches that we might have had, that you need to burn calories, you need to do high cardio activity, you need to diet. I think those are there, but those could also improve, because you're becoming very sensitive to the body's needs, and then it's not the mind that's dictating terms, as when you have to eat. It's not the emotions that are forcing you to make those choices, but you're able to manage the restlessness of the mind and the overwhelming experience of the emotions pretty well when you're able to use breath as your doorway to handle these issues. And then you'll be able to listen to your body only, purely body, isolating in a way, the body has its own need for health. And so you're not confused with the emotions and the mental fluctuations that we might have, but purely looking at, okay, the body has this need, I have to eat, and this is where I stop. And of course, the emotions influence all of that changes, but according to that is what you will make those choices: how much to eat, when to exercise, what kind of activities you'll be carrying out. So all of this could be, in a way, controlled through breath, and hence the breath practice. I'll take one more slide, and then we can open up for questions. This one is talking about what kind of breathing practices that we do. Now that we've established, okay, breath seems to have some potential, and an alternative way. If you've tried all the other approaches and maybe not achieved much, maybe one of the missing component would have been breath. And so having established that here are some practices that we could do, and we have in the yoga class, that will help you with connecting to the body and connecting to the subtle physiology and to the mind that we talked earlier. So what do we do in a yoga class? First thing is we need to connect to breath, because breath is actually, interesting that, breath happens on its own. There is that a spontaneous or automated breathing control. It happens on its own. You don't have to really think and breathe, but even as you listen to me, chances are your breathing is still going on, and I'm breathing as well. And it's automated. I don't have to consciously inhale and exhale. So throughout the day, especially when you're sleeping, just imagine, right? When you're sleeping, it has to be automated. It has to go on by itself. I'm not awake. My senses are not helping me take control of this activity. So largely, the breath has this feature to it that it's automated. It can go on based on a certain triggers within the physiology. Oxygen levels, carbon dioxide levels, the breath goes on. On the other hand, the interesting part is breath also has a conscious control. You can override that automated trigger sometimes to some extent with a conscious breathing. We can put in effort to breathe as well. Inhale, exhale. This is what we do in a yoga class, right? A conscious breathing. And there are many ways to get into breath, connect to breath. And what we do in yoga, first and foremost, is through the physical practice. So when you're asked to raise your arms up, it's very natural to inhale. When you're asked to fold forward or crunch at the abdomen, exhale. And so the physical movements are a fantastic way to start off with breath practices. And hence, the asanas are the first and foremost in our set of practices that we'll do. Physical practice to connect to breath. Initially, we may not be connected to breath, but the movement of the body is influencing breath. And eventually, we slowly start to connect and control, coordinate the movements with breath, and in fact, exercise the breath itself, hold it for longer or extend the inhalation, extend the exhalation, the opening of the chest, arms going back, chin lifted up. All of this will extend the inhalation. And of course, the folding forward exercises will close in or contract the chest, contract the abdomen, and slow down the exhalation. So physical practice is the first thing when it comes to connecting to breath. And that is probably the most accessible to all of us because breath is not so easy to control or even connect for that matter. So physical practices are a fantastic way. Almost everybody, all of us can, connect to breath through physical movements. So asanas is the first step. And then comes physical exercise, breath exercises. To exercise breath. What can we do with breath? There is inhalation, there is exhalation, and there's possibility of holding the breath either inside or outside, right? There are all of these possibilities. And additionally, we have the pace of breath, how fast you can inhale, how slow you can exhale. The pace could be one other factor. And we could have one more level of it as to where you're breathing from. You could either breathe from one nostril or you could also breathe from the mouth, nostril and the mouth, because both lead to the lungs. So we have all of these factors and we could have a nice permutation combination and we come up with what is called as breath exercises. So what you do in a pranayama class is largely these breath exercises before you can actually hold the breath. That's the classical pranayama, kumbhaka, to hold the breath. But before that, there are a lot of these exercises that help us connect or influence the breath awareness and eventually control the breath. And so these are done either in certain postures or largely also in a seated posture. So in a pranayama class, when you attend Shvasa's pranayama class, you'll be able to see this. And eventually we will start regulating the breath, meaning coordinating with the movement is one thing. And also, even if you're seated and doing breath exercises, the length of inhalation, the length of exhalation, or say if it's a forced exhalation, how you will exhale and what parts of body you will use to regulate that exhalation is all what is done as a next step within the breath exercises. And all of this would result in exploring the maximum capacity of our breath, inhalation and exhalation. And then it's also pushing the limits of how far you can inhale and exhale. Now, very interesting aspect is that, when we do shallow breathing, what we just said as, automated breathing, and if you have a bad posture or if you're stressed, And if you have shallow breathing, we are probably utilizing less than 10% of our lung capacity, which is okay for us to survive, which is why we all probably are doing it, because it's not immediately affecting, or there's no SOS call immediately when you do take a short breath or use only 10% of your lung capacity. But it's the problem, it just accumulates and it affects, and we are not able to pin it down to breath and say, oh, this is why I'm facing all these issues. So breathing exercises can now take you from under 10% utility of your lungs to, say, it could bring it to, say, 40, 50%, 60%. And that's a fantastic way to improve overall health. Just like we say, we are using very little of our brains, and we want to improve that, you want to explore the potential of a human brain. But before that, even maximizing the potential of the human body, the physiology, is going to be important, because all of this is connected to the brain anyway. And so this will be a part of you exploring, utilizing the unused part of the brain as well. So you need to first explore these things, physical abilities and also physiological abilities, and maximizing that. So we have a very systematic practice to get to experience complete breathing. At least if you do that a certain time in a class, and over a period of time, that could become a habit, because your posture is going to improve and you're every now and then conscious of breath. Even if you're not, it's a habit that you're creating through training. And so breathing completely, complete inhalation and complete exhalation is going to be part of your everyday, throughout the day, not just during the practice. Even if you do just during the practice, that's a fantastic start. So we also explore how we could slow down the breath, how we could trigger that parasympathetic through breath. Breath has a very strong influence over the nervous system. And so, that's the way for us. That's our road to the brain, to the mind, and to the subtle, the emotions and other things. Eventually, yoga practice with breath involves holding breath, and that usually is something that you need to do very carefully under the guidance of a teacher, definitely, and after certain requirements, eligibility criteria, and also it involves certain diet that you need to be taking in when you're doing such practice of holding the breath. So apart from holding the breath, even if you do all the other breath exercises, regulating and complete breathing, yogic breathing, I think that changes our health drastically. And so that is something that we could still do. Apart from all that other traditional solutions that you might be thinking and maybe may not have worked for you, maybe you should add this component. This could change the way you're looking at weight management. I will stop the presentation here and let's get back to question and answers. So anybody has any questions, it could be personal for your own experience and your own challenges. Or if you're already doing some yoga practice, if you need any advice on what you should be doing exactly with breath, we could talk about it. So anybody has any questions? Any of you already doing yoga practice, especially the pranayama practice? Have you noticed anything? Or if you just started doing, what has been your experience? I just raise your hand and I can allow you to talk. Probably it's the Sunday evening, and maybe you need to just have some more time to absorb, and maybe you'll have questions then. But I'm glad all of you could join this webinar on an interesting topic, how breath could influence weight management. We don't often associate breath with weight management. We only associate rigorous physical activity and dieting, restricting food with weight management. But this could be a healthier way, breath being involved, because breath, in an ill person, you will see that the breath is erratic and breath is shallow. And when breath is taken care, we're not doing any harm to the body. Because in a need to just lose weight quickly, or find the most convenient way, we might actually be harming our body in the long term. So we need to be a little careful when we take up such intense practices. Is it good only for now or immediate outcome? Some of the immediate outcome seems favorable, but is it bad in the long term? That question needs to be asked. And so with yoga, especially with breath, that is answered already, because breath already is indicating, or a certain type of breathing is already indicating what's happening to your body, your health, and your mind. So that's taken care of. So anybody has any other questions before we can close? And you're most welcome to connect to us, our coordinators, teachers, anybody. Just start off with, if you've never been to a platform, Shvasa, there is a 7-day trial session that you could avail. So just join in and you'll connect to the teachers. You can ping them anytime. You can ping me anytime on your app. Any questions you might have. Or if I see you in a class, we can also stay back after the class and talk. There seems to be one question. Yeah. Can we get the recording, please? Ravinder. Yeah, sure, Ravinder. I'll ask Dhruva to make a note of that. Dhruva, can you also share a recording to, I think everybody might want to have a look at it, or might want to share it with others. Yeah. Jaya, thanks. Hope it was useful, and hope you are able to now look at the old problem at the new solution. There are classes, pranayama classes every day, almost 3-4 classes every day that you could look at. And that could be a good start for you, to get into. But if you're already doing asana, you remember we said that physical movement is the best way to start off connecting to breath. And so if you're already doing asana, you have already embarked on this journey with the breath. And so make breath more part of your asana practice. Bring that layer in, and you will see that if that makes a difference. Adiv, go ahead. You want to? You have a question, or you want to talk? You raised your hand. You can just unmute yourself and talk. Okay, let me bring in Jaya. Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah, Jaya, you have something to share?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much. We have been doing yoga, but we never thought how important it is to breathe with that. Sometimes with some postures, when I realize what's with me is I do not focus on, I'm so focused on the posture that I sometimes miss the exhaling and inhaling part, right? So, and when we attend, I took some trial lessons of Shvasa yoga, and I've been practicing yoga, but it's a good way to look at it now.
I'm glad. Yeah, these subtle things we usually ignore.
So when we do the yoga, then sometimes for me, when I'm doing breathing pranayama and all, definitely that's being, then we are just breathing. But when we are doing yoga posture, sometimes continuing the exhaling and inhaling part gets ignored, not properly taken care of.
Agree. I think
Yeah.
same
So thank you
experience that I had.
for
Yeah,
paying
when I
attention
started.
to that. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, because the body is, there, right there. You can see the body, feel the body more than the breath, and so we all give importance to the body. But one other way to look at asana, Jaya, and also everybody, is that it's the body, especially the trunk bit, right? The chest and the abdomen. What do you see happening in different postures? We are probably changing this whole region, the chest and the abdominal region. When you do a side bend, your chest part is changing in its, in its shape and form. And when you're doing a forward bend, when you're squeezing your abdomen, when you're opening your chest, when you're lifting your chin up, we're actually changing what is happening in the trunk, and which means we're actually changing what is happening to the breath when we do a physical movement, right? uh,
Got it.
so arms and legs are fine, great, but ultimately if you look closely as to what you're doing in an asana, what you're doing in a forward bend, a back bend, or you're doing in a twist, you're changing what is happening at the chest and what is happening at the abdomen, right?
Yeah.
We are restricting it in a way. Sometimes we are expanding certain part of this trunk, and that way, what is ultimately affected is the breath, and breath
Yeah.
then affects the nervous system, and of course, nervous system controls every part of our body, and so obviously there could be positive benefits of doing such a thing.
Yeah. Despite all the long-term positive benefits, which one thing I know, if you breathe well, you can see instant benefit of stress. If
True.
any breathing exercise, if it's done at the end of the day after a whole day in front of computer, it
Mm-hmm.
really helps relax. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
think, even that 15, 20 minutes of connecting back to breath. And if you're doing it for, on a daily basis, consistently, I think that itself is a very good start. And I think it can, in itself, if you just stick to that and not do anything else, is like you're saying, end of the day, winding down and then putting you to sleep. I think that then gives you a nice fresh day. Next day, you wake up and you're all able
yeah,
to get back to take on the challenges of our life.
yeah, got it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks for participating. Have a wonderful evening.
Yeah, thank you.
Um,
Thanks. Good.
Adib, is there anything you would like to say? If not, yeah, I mean, fantastic. You can reach out to us anytime. Uh, Anybody else? Haifa, Pravesh, Ravinder, Sumit. Um, if not, okay, we could talk, outside of this webinar as well. Do reach out to us. Dhruva is also here. You can reach out to Dhruva as well. We will also get back to you with some recordings and also what you could do going ahead from here, what classes you could take up. There are specific pranayama sessions called pranayama. We do quite a bit of breath exercises that we talked about in the webinar very systematically. But thing about breath is also you need to be a little careful. Right breathing will improve our health, but wrong habits of breathing might also affect health. So we need to be a little careful while practicing this. So it's good to practice under an experienced teacher systematically, slowly, gradually, and consistent practice. And so you're most welcome to any of these pranayama classes. Take care. Have a wonderful Sunday evening. Namaste.